Turn now to some breaking news out of North Carolina, though, where a 17-year-old was badly injured in what one park ranger called a shark attack. Here's ABC's Diane Macedo.
A suspected shark attack off the coast of North Carolina as rescuers rush to a horrifying scene. The victim, a 17-year-old girl.
All of a sudden, everyone started screaming, and I looked to my left. It looked like she was belly crawling on the beach.
Authorities say it happened around 12:20 on Sunday afternoon as the teen was swimming at Fort Macon State Park. A ranger says it was a shark attack. Fire officials describe deep lacerations to her leg, pelvis, and hand areas. The incident comes just a week after a California grandfather was killed in a shark attack while vacationing in Maui. Back in North Carolina, the victim's injuries were so severe she had to be rushed to the hospital via helicopter. At last check, her condition was still unknown. Tom?
Diane Macedo with those new details tonight. Diane, thank you. We do turn now to a major development in the case of that missing Connecticut mother of 5. Fotis Dulos, the estranged husband of Jennifer Dulos, and his girlfriend, you see them both there, arrested, charged with tampering with evidence. Both will appear in court tomorrow, but authorities still do not know where that mother is. Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, the estranged husband of this missing Connecticut mother of 5 and his girlfriend under arrest, 9 days after Jennifer Dulos mysteriously vanished. These images taken by thedailymail.com showing investigators speaking to Fotis Dulos and Michelle Traconis, both now charged with fabricating or tampering with physical evidence and hindering prosecution in the case. It comes after police, according to the Hartford Courant, collected DNA samples from Fotis over the weekend. Investigators spotted leaving his Farmington, Connecticut mansion. Authorities searching storm drains and dumpsters near Hartford and a family home in Pound Ridge, New York, as well as Jennifer Dulos' rental home in New Canaan, Connecticut, where investigators reportedly found blood.
She's incredibly devoted to her 5 children. They are her world.
The 50-year-old mother disappeared May 24th after dropping her children ages 8 to 13 at school, all now staying with her mother under armed guard.
The children are safe, and they miss their mother terribly.
And Ariel Reshef joins us now live on set. Ariel, police are still calling this a missing persons case, even though she's been missing for more than a week now.
That's right, Tom. And as authorities continue to search for Jennifer, there's also an ongoing criminal investigation, and officials are saying we could expect to see additional charges as that progresses.
We'll have to see what happens tomorrow in court. All right, Ariel, thank you. Now to the search for 8 climbers missing in the Himalayas, including 2 Americans. The group attempting to summit a dangerous peak never showed up at base camp. And with this climbing season already turning deadly, concerns are mounting tonight. Here's ABC's Marcy Gonzalez.
Tonight, 8 of these mountain climbers, including 2 Americans, missing in the Himalayas, vanishing while climbing in uncharted territory on India's 2nd highest mountain.
This was an unclimbed peak on the mountain.
Americans Anthony Sudacum and Ronald Beamel in the group led by experienced British climber Martin Moran, leaving base camp May 13th for their final ascent. The area then hit by an avalanche.
Having been reported missing in the mountains myself before, and I was fortunate enough to come out in one piece, I just pray that Martin and the team are in a similar position.
The group's disappearance comes amid growing concerns in the Himalayas with overcrowding on Mount Everest and a rush of inexperienced climbers. A record 11 people have died on the world's tallest mountain so far this season, and officials say the area where this group is missing is 5 times deadlier than Everest. And with dangerous weather conditions in that region, the search was called off for today. It's expected to resume tomorrow, but officials say the chances of finding survivors at this point are quickly dropping. Tom?
Marcy Gonzalez for us tonight. Marcy, thank you. We turn next to politics, and President Trump set to take off for a state visit to the UK. He's already wading into the political turmoil there, expressing support for Conservative Party's Boris Johnson as the next prime minister. But it's something he said about Meghan Markle that could make for an awkward moment when America's first family meets the royal family. It's a high-stakes trip, and ABC's Terry Moran is in London tonight.
In London, they're hanging the flags outside Buckingham Palace, the Stars and Stripes and the Union Jack, symbols of one of the world's closest alliances. President Trump's state visit here this week is also a security challenge. When he was in the UK last summer, There were massive protests in London, but he is popular elsewhere in this country. And he's already stirring controversy, boldly weighing in on who should succeed outgoing Prime Minister Theresa May. Trump backing former Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, the man some call the British Trump.
I think Boris would do a very good job. I think it'd be excellent. I like him very much.
The overriding issue here, Brexit, the British decision to exit the European Union and how to do it. President Trump voicing support for a so-called hard Brexit, where the UK would just crash out of the EU with no deal, a potentially chaotic course.
If you don't get the deal you want, if you don't get a fair deal, then you walk away.
And then there's President Trump's take on Meghan Markle, Prince Harry's American-born wife, who he praised in an interview, but also called nasty when the reporter told him she'd publicly criticized him. Trump denied that on Twitter, but roll the tape.
She said she'd moved to Canada if you got elected. Turned out she moved to Britain.
There are a lot of people moving here. So what can I say? No, I didn't know that she was nasty.
This three-day state visit is a high honor for President Trump, and it clearly means a lot to him. And as Britain leaves the European Union, they need the United States and President Trump more than ever. Tom?
Terry Moran will be covering every moment for us next week. Terry, thank you. We do have new developments in the controversy involving the Trump administration and the USS John S. McCain. The acting defense secretary now confirming the White House military office requested the ship be, quote, hidden from view during the president's recent trip to Japan. But the president's chief of staff also weighing in, saying the request would not have been unreasonable. Here's ABC's White House correspondent Tara Palmieri with the details.
Tonight, a warning from the Pentagon to the White House. Do not politicize the military. The strong words coming after a request to keep the destroyer USS John S. McCain, quote, out of sight during the president's visit to Japan caused an uproar.
The White House military office coordinated directly with the 7th Fleet. And the White House military office gave a directive that the USS John McCain should be hidden from view.
Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan says that directive was not carried out. And according to Shanahan, the tarp seen in this report was put there for maintenance, not to cover the McCain name. It was removed before the president arrived. Today, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney insisting neither he nor the president were aware of the request.
The fact that some 23 or 24-year-old person on the advance team went to that site and said, oh my goodness, there's the John McCain. We all know how the president feels about the former senator. Maybe that's not the best backdrop. Can somebody look into moving it? That's not an unreasonable thing to
Seriously?
ask. It's not.
The president, who has attacked John McCain for years, telling reporters this week whoever gave that directive was doing him a favor.
I am not a fan of John McCain.
Meghan McCain saying the attacks have caused more pain to the late senator's family.
Because the president is so obsessed with the fact that he's never going to be a great man like he was.
And Tara Palmieri joins us now from the White House. Tara, the acting defense secretary, also saying he was not aware of that request and would have never authorized it.
Tom, that's right. Shanahan said he didn't know about it, and he still needs to gather information about what happened. But he did get a chance to call the late senator's wife, Cindy McCain. Tom?
Tara Palmieri for us from the White House tonight. Tara, thank you. Next, exclusive reporting from inside Iran, where U.S. sanctions are hammering the economy as tensions are escalating. What Iran's foreign minister told ABC News about the attacks on those oil tankers and the way the president negotiates. Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz is in Tehran.
This is a country in pain. Its people caught in the middle of a dangerous standoff.
America and Iran, they are two boys, small boys that are just arguing, fighting, and they don't know what is happening to their people. I mean, especially my people. People are suffering.
4 years ago, Iranians were celebrating the announcement of a nuclear agreement, which led to the lifting of punishing sanctions. But with Donald Trump pulling the U.S. out of the deal and the sanctions back in place, the Iranian economy is in dramatic decline.
Our life in a bad situation, and it's not getting better.
Donald Trump calls it a maximum pressure campaign to force Iran back to the nuclear negotiation table. Iran's foreign minister calls it economic terrorism.
But he will not achieve his policy objectives through pressure on the Iranians. This may work in a real estate market. It does not work in dealing with Iran.
Zarif denies strong U.S. accusations that Iran was involved in sabotaging 4 oil tankers near the Persian Gulf.
And if they show some sort of intelligence about the sabotage of those tankers,
let them do it.
Would you not believe that?
Let them do it. I mean, Photoshop is always a possibility.
Zarif says he does not believe the additional U.S. military assets in the region are a threat, but warns that if the U.S. escalates the situation, there could be dangerous consequences. But Zarif says he will keep President Trump guessing about what those consequences might be, although he says Iran will only act in self-defense. Tom?
Martha Raddatz will have more from Tehran tomorrow. Martha, thank you. Back here at home in the severe weather threat tonight from New Mexico to right here in New York City. Millions bracing for another round of dangerous storms. Take a look at this image from Michigan, where high winds sent a huge tree into a home, golf ball-sized hail slamming the Colorado high country, and in the heartland, the flood emergency isn't over yet. The Arkansas River near Little Rock at its highest level in 74 years. There's also a new system developing in the tropics. Let's get right over to senior meteorologist Rob Marciano.
Hi, Tom. There have been clusters of severe thunderstorms across the Northeast, as you mentioned. Matter of fact, severe thunderstorm watch out just across the river, New Jersey, till 10 o'clock and to the south. Here it is on the radar. We've had some rough ones move through D.C. with big-time hail there, and this watch stretches back all the way through West Virginia. Hey, Denver, you're in a thunderstorm watch for a second night in a row. We've got one up from Wyoming all the way down to the Mexico border. Speaking of Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico, there's tropical action there. We look for a 60% chance of this developing into something that will make landfall in Mexico, but the moisture from this gets up into the plains, into the Mississippi and Arkansas rivers, where all that horrible flooding is happening. More rain is coming this week. Tom?
Another busy week. Out-of-control cruise ship plowing into a dock in Venice, hitting a tourist boat. Here's ABC's David Wright.
Hold on. Today in Venice, a scene straight out of a disaster movie as a looming luxury liner plows into the dock on a major canal. Dramatic video shows the moment of impact. Sirens wailing as the 900-foot-long MSC Opera, unable to slow down, crashed into a smaller vessel already docked. The bigger ship apparently lost control after a steel cable attaching it to a tugboat snapped. Italian authorities say 110 people were on board the smaller boat. They say at least 5 elderly tourists were injured, including 1 American. Today's collision comes just days after a sightseeing boat called the Mermaid capsized on the River Danube in Budapest, killing at least 7 people. More than 20 others remain unaccounted for after that incident. Today's accident, the second in less than a week, is already raising questions about the safety precautions of these European sightseeing trips, just as the busy summer tourist season kicks off. Tom?
David, time now for our index. We start with a little boy attacked by a cougar. That cat shown here prowling a park at dusk in central Washington state. Wildlife officials say the child escaped serious injury. The cougar later captured and euthanized. And the fiery images coming in from Europe's most active volcano, Mount Aetna in Italy, lighting up night skies in spectacular fashion. Scientists say so far no risk to local residents. And Apple has scrubbed its iTunes social media pages. Some taking that as another sign the tech giant plans to shutter iTunes after 18 years of service. The official iTunes announcement expected tomorrow. The company reportedly launching 3 new apps where users can access their music, TV shows, movies, and podcasts. And tonight we note the passing of a legendary chef, Leah Chase, known as the Queen of Creole. Chase charmed residents and countless tourists with her cooking for more than 7 decades at a restaurant, Dookie Chase, best known for feeding presidents and her community and those on the front lines of the civil rights struggle. Leah Chase was 96. And when we return, we head back to Virginia Beach. What family and friends are sharing with us tonight. Finally tonight, 12 lives lost, countless families affected. Tonight, what Virginia Beach wants us all to remember. Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, Virginia Beach is a city in mourning, the community coming together to comfort one another, honoring those they lost. There was Missy Langer. Her coworkers say she was close to retiring and always had a smile. Lakita Brown, Alexander Mikhail Gustav, Mary Louise Gale, Bert Snelling. Friends say he was the kind of man you hope moves next door.
One of the most friendly, genuine human beings I ever met.
Rich Nettleton, Katherine Nixon. Her friends say she was a ray of sunlight, selfless, smart, most of all, a loving mother of 3 young children. Joshua Hardy, Christopher Rapp,
Tara Gallagher, a mother of a brand new baby boy.
A wonderful engineer who didn't deserve this. None of them deserved any of this. I'm so sorry for the families.
Bobby Williams and Keith Cox telling his colleagues to hide in an office and barricade the door as he walked back into the hallway to check on others as the shooter made his way from floor to floor. Keith lost his life trying to save his colleagues.
I keep on remembering his smile, his stature, how much of a gentleman he was.
12 lives taken by another senseless act of gun violence. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, Virginia Beach.
We thank you for watching tonight. I'm Tom Yamas in New York. GMA first thing in the morning. David Muir right back here tomorrow night. Have a great evening. Good night.